Hello and welcome to Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Debra, your host. Thank you for tuning in. Every week we talk to inspiring female entrepreneurs and let them tell us their stories of struggle and success. This week we have a great entrepreneur. She's doing wonderful things for female entrepreneurs and all women, really managing how they interact with the world and with their cycles. I'm going to just jump right in. You guys know I don't like to mess around. Amita is the co-founder of NourishDoc, a global holistic wellness platform for women to manage their hormone transition from PMS to postmenopause. Inspired by her own perimenopausal journey and working in the high-tech world where she felt unsupported, she needed to bring this taboo topic of perimenopause to the workplace for an open discussion. She has pioneered a culturally sensitive, accessible, and innovative self-care app designed to support women with evidence-based, integrative wellness solutions tailored to their unique needs. And it's launching soon. Please welcome Amita to Deals with Heels.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Debra. Yay. I know I love the work you're doing. We were talking about the technology hiccups and glitches, and hopefully these glitches in our personal life that we women are going through perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, we're able to navigate these glitches, right? With ease and, with just ease and harmony. That's the word I'm going to use right now.
Is not lose our minds and pull her hair
Yeah,
out. And
exactly.
I admit there have been times where I wanted to drive down the highway and launch my laptop out of the sunroof of my car. Sometimes technology can really get us wound up, especially when I was younger. So tell us about a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and how you came to be where you are now.
Yeah, this was actually unexpected. I must say that. In my previous decade of my professional life, I come from an architectural, interior design, home furnishings, that kind of a background. So I wanted to stay true to that whole industry. I had never thought I would be switching over to what I'm doing now. But I guess Cosmos had a different way because I was working for all these high tech companies, mainly in real estate, e-commerce, home furnishing, stuff like that. But at the same time going through perimenopause. And that's kind of how it started my journey of me trying to survive myself and not trying to myself under the bus all the time. You know what I mean? I was like so going through so much of a roller coaster ride with all my hormones going all over the place, my emotions going all over the place. I'm typically a calm person, typically a balanced person, and I had no clue why my emotions were going like all over the map. And this was not these are symptoms that bothered me. This was the lack of control, lack of management, lack of understanding of what is happening to me. Why am I behaving like this? What is happening? Why am I losing control? Right? Sometimes in life, you
Yes.
just
A terrible
lose
feeling.
control. Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
terrible feeling to feel like that. And I don't like to feel like that. I don't know anyone who does. And so I get that.
Yeah. And I went on and I ended up actually quitting my full time because I couldn't handle, long after hours work of emails and this and that. It was just too much stress and too much anxiety for me. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do my consulting 9 to 5. I get paid what I get paid. And that's just the way I'm going to accept my career. And literally I left it at that. Never thought I'm going to start Nourish Doc. It was like that. And then COVID hit. And over that time, you have a moment to kind of pause, right? All of us had a moment to pause. And that's when it started slowly dawning on me that what I have been running like a crazy person for the last decade, why can't I just take that whole experience and distill it into a way that it can help younger women who are coming behind me and not feeling the same way. So that's how the whole thought process started about 5 years back. And then, of course, a lot of research and understanding of what it is we women go through. And now I am sitting in front of you.
Fantastic. And it's enlightening how little research there is comparatively to men's health and men's even mental health. Everything's based on men, not women.
Yeah.
It's when you first start figuring that out, and then all of the misconceptions about hormone replacement therapy and just general women's health. It can be very disheartening, and you're going through it and you're upset and you don't know what to do. And you've tried to talk to the medical professionals who poo poo you and tell you that this is just the way it is. It's a terrible, terrible feeling.
Yeah, all these things happened to me. I think, I ended up interviewing over 5,000 experts from all over the world. And because, like you said, there is very little information on this. So we had to spend a lot of time in researching, understanding, and talking to people, experts all over the world to understand why it is, why it is the way it is right now. And things are changing. In the last couple of years, we've seen a huge explosion of Gates Foundation putting in money. There's a lot of talk that's happening at the community health center levels, so things have
Mhm.
started to change in the last couple of years or so. But when I started talking about it, nobody wanted to talk to me. When I use the word nobody, I mean like an authoritative kind of a way. They said, "Oh, are you crazy? You're going to talk about perimenopause, menopause? Like, this is not a problem." I remember talking to a woman somewhere, I don't know which part of the world. She says, "Oh, this is not a problem. Deal with it." I'm like, "What? Deal with it? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah,
So,
just deal with it. Yeah, I've been dealing with it, and no one likes the way I've been dealing with it. I don't even like the way I've been dealing with it. It is, and I read something recently that I
yeah,
found really inspiring, and
yeah.
it was it read, I think it said there were 5 mammal species on the planet
Really?
that the females live for decades beyond their reproductive period. Most mammals, they live to reproduce, right? And so even the human male can reproduce well into old age. So, what specifically about women that are humans and the 4 species of whales, they're the only other ones, that is so special about us? What do we have to give beyond bearing children and reproducing that is so important that we live for decades longer than that? I find that intriguing and interesting, and partially because that's where I am, right? And I feel like at 58, I'm postmenopausal, and I
Hmm.
feel like I've entered a whole new era of my life that, by the way, I had to get here crawling on shards of glass. It felt like to get here. But I think learning about the beginning part of it helps us understand and transition into the part of it that's got to be pretty damn valuable. When you look at it from that perspective, out of
Hmm.
all of the
Hmm.
mammals on Earth,
Hmm.
the only land-bearing animal that
Hmm.
that the female
Hmm.
lives decades longer than their reproductive cycle is it are us. Why? Why are we so important? And
Wow.
I think we've lost it. I think we've lost that through suppression and submission and all of the ways women have become second-class citizens. But we're on our way back, but I'm interested in what you think about that.
That's an interesting finding what you just shared with me, and no my wonder it explains the focus of a woman's health is mainly on the childbearing years or the reproductive part of a woman's life, right? I
It
mean, if you look at
is.
all the research that's out there is all on reproduction. We focus on not that I'm against on that. I have a couple of kids myself, but we focus on the childbearing years, prenatal, postnatal, during the pregnancy. And then after that, we're focusing on our kids and we forget about ourselves, about our health until if you look at few decades back, our mom's generation, our parents' generation, and they can barely walk. They have osteoporosis, they have blood pressure issues, they have all kind of chronic conditions that when they're living in their 80s, and that's not a good quality of life they're living. And I wanted to prevent that happening to our generation. You know what I'm saying? In whatever little way that I can as a human person, by putting in the research, by putting in the energy into this topic of beyond the reproductive years. And that's exactly what, to your point, I started saying when I started explaining to people. I said, why is it important? I say, beyond the reproductive years, After 40, we forget about a woman's journey until she's again 65 plus, having some kind of a chronic condition and not able to walk and not able to do so many things, right? So those
Right.
years are gone from 40 until like probably God knows when, those 25 years of the perimenopause to postmenopause years, there's no research at all.
And look, it's a grand transition.
Yeah.
It should be
Yeah.
celebrated in the big things that are coming, but
Yeah.
we all sat here like, what are we gonna do now? That's where I was. I took care of 5
Yeah. Yeah.
kids, I took care of my mom, I took care of my husband and my husband's companies, and I didn't focus on me and I lost myself, and had I had a program like yours to help me through and see the
Hmm.
value of what we have to offer, our experience, but I think it's also
Yeah.
partially our connection to
Yeah.
one another, our connection to the
Yeah.
earth and
Yeah.
all of that. So I
Yeah.
love that. I think what you're doing is
Yeah.
incredibly important and that women are going to help change the world by becoming who they're supposed to be, which isn't work a million hours a week in the man's world. It's not. That's not the way we're supposed to do it. So tell me a little bit about some of the things that perimenopausal women may be feeling that they either think are just part of getting older, right? Those things that we're like, well, I guess I'm just doing this, or sometimes it's cortisol, weight gain. Tell me about some of those things that they may not realize that it doesn't have to be that way.
No, I think, like you said, the education has to start at the perimenopause level, not after, after the postmenopause when they're younger. And the problem is that we ourselves, when we are going through that phase, sometimes are oblivious of our body that's changing because of the hormones fluctuation. So what I'm trying to say is it's very important for us to pay attention at that time when we are turning 40, around that age group, to pay attention to our menstrual cycle because it can get erratic and irregular. And that's the first sign typically of being perimenopausal. And we have to pay a lot of attention when the hormones are fluctuating, how it is impacting us as far as what are the symptoms we are facing. Every woman is different, right? So I might get hot flashes or sleep issues, or you might get something else. So it's very, very important for us at that age group, for women, younger women, to pay attention to how their body is reacting to the hormonal fluctuations and how they can change their lifestyle and diet to overcome or to manage all these symptoms that are going to carry with them until they're postmenopausal, maybe beyond. Because at that age, in younger age, not necessary that you can start taking HRT, not necessary. Might be, but not necessary, because you still have your pretty good set of hormones that are pretty full and you don't want to overkill with hormones, right? So from what I have learned, all the research is paying attention to all the symptoms that are happening to you, documenting those symptoms, talking to someone, taking care of those symptoms aggressively with lifestyle and dietary modification that can be easily done, and also with some supplements, some holistic lifestyle. And that's exactly what we are focusing on, right? That's exactly what we're saying, that when you are younger, you start focusing on this whole holistic lifestyle and taking the supplements. I'm not saying go to Costco and buy all the supplements, but make sure you take the supplements that's needed for your body, for your symptoms, for your constitution in the thing. And how can you incorporate all these holistic life therapies, such as Ayurveda, yoga, breath work, and diet. Of course, I talked about that, naturopathy, some of the supplements, and acupuncture, and all these things to carry your body and mind and soul and live in harmony and in circadian rhythm so that you can navigate this phase, right? That is really the essence without going too much into the detail of nitty gritty.
That is wonderful information. And I wish I'd have paid attention to things like that when, I mean,
Me too. Me too.
I talked to my doctor. I mean, the first time I was very regular. My periods where I was 41-day cycle, natural cycle. How about that? 41
My
day natural cycle. But the first time I started being irregular, I thought I was pregnant. I was in my 40s. I'm like, because I was so regular. So I did talk to my doctor, but they, at the time,
Mhm.
everything was really just don't do this, don't do this. There wasn't a lot of proactive things
Mhm.
involved with it. So I had a guest earlier this season on that was talking about extending women's fertility. She's a doctor of naturopathic medicine.
Hmm.
And it was funny. So I have children. All my kids are adults, but at the time we were talking about I have one granddaughter and now I have two more on the way. And we were talking about the different tips for fertility. And I want to ask you about those things for women growing up. And the number one thing that she recommended for a couple that was struggling with fertility were to remove plastic, that it's such an estrogen mimicker. Have you
Hmm.
found that it affects obviously women by thinking you have estrogen when you don't, and men don't make testosterone because they think they've got too much because they're making all of the things. Do you
Hmm.
find that that is helpful too, especially in the younger women that their cycles are starting to be messed up even at an earlier age? I know someone in
Hmm.
their 30s that their doctor told them they couldn't get pregnant because they were too old. Right?
Mm.
You're in the midst of your whole fertility. So if it's affecting fertility, it has to be affecting everything else, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think from the research that I have seen and I've done and I've talked to all the thing, endocrinal disruptors is what they call, but it's not only the plastic, it's the type of food, the processed food that we're eating, the kind of household chemicals that we are inhaling. Sometimes the makeup also women are using, right? That doesn't have organic compounds, even the hair shampoo, every single thing, your personal care products and the personal care products, the diet, the food that you're eating, everything impacts your hormones and they can disrupt, right? So,
Yes.
first of all, and I interviewed an Ayurvedic doctor. And she was talking about the same problem, like you were talking about earlier, the infertility. And the first thing she said was that first of all, the couple, not only the woman, the couple has to cleanse their body from inside out. And she explained exactly the same reason what you and I are talking about, that how all these compounds are disrupting the normal hormonal structure, right? The inside our body, and how it is impacting with the fertility part of it, and the emphasis on cleansing your body inside out could be with medical detox, could be with some kind of a punch karma. That's also sort of a medical way of cleansing your body from inside out. Cleansing the toxins out of your body is so important for couples to prepare for pregnancy, unlike old days, Old
It
days was
really
different.
is. So do you recommend even if somebody's perimenopausal, likely they're not trying to get pregnant right now. They might be. They're on a whole different journey than the rest of us if they are.
Yeah.
Do you typically recommend a cleanse like toxins and parasites and heavy metals and all of that for starting to have that? I mean, it's been building up in all of us for a long time, right? So I think we
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a medical doctor. So, like I said, I have interviewed over 5,000 of them and research and all that. From what I can share is that newborn baby born in today's day and age in the United States is carrying 170 different kind of sort of like a pesticide laden chemicals in the placenta of a pregnant woman. 70. Can you imagine? And the newborn baby is feeding off of the placenta of a woman. And these are the 170 toxins that are feeding into a newborn baby. And no wonder kids in today's day and age have so much issues when they're still younger. So you have to cleanse, you should get yourself tested for all these heavy metals and all that stuff as a cautionary if you're trying to get pregnant, and also consider some kind of a detox, a medical detox, not a juice cleanse, not a at-home detox, not something really simple, but a simple, after, of course, your testing, if you are found with heavy metal detox, heavy issues or metals inside, right, you should consider, a detox, right? Whether it is, like I said, a punch karma is another way of detoxing yourself. That's an Ayurvedic way. Basically, what they're
Mhm.
doing is they're feeding you ghee, and they're kind of purging it from the rectum or from the mouth, the two openings that are kind of coming out.
Right.
So there are ways that you can get the toxins out of your body, and that's what is recommended from all the researchers that I have interviewed, that get yourself cleansed and then prepare your body for the pregnancy, for the new birth to happen, right?
Right. Yes. So let's move on and talk about your app. I'm really excited about it, having a new tool available for women to help manage and
Mhm.
understand what's happening to them. It, no one can explain it to you. And you talk to other women, and some of them kind of are that way, but this person's different. And am I going to do that too? And having all the information and being able to manage it is important. So tell us about your app and everything that it does.
Yeah. So the idea that there is a lot of work that's being done, as I told you earlier, in this space now. Most of it is focused on HRT, right? They talk about menopause and then tell your symptoms. HRT capsules or HRT patches or would come into your doorstep and you start putting them in. And we wanted to bring it to really to the root cause, right? Like we were talking about earlier, and that was the root cause. And also we wanted to bring it at a younger women, and at the same time we wanted to keep it affordable and broaden the depth of a woman's life, in the sense beyond the reproductive. So the app does exactly that. It starts from actually a PMS, from the menstruation, not necessarily from a 13-year-old, but from PMS, PCOS, then goes into the perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, a very comprehensive 40 plus programs that have been designed into a self-care, into the very affordability part of it. So depending on where you are in your journey as a woman, whether you are a younger woman or in the middle or postmenopausal, we will ask you simple questions, and then based on that we put you in the right, sort of like a right compartment to where you start your journey. So the first step is doing it self-care. Self-care, we feel, is very important, no matter what kind of or how much medication and whatever you want to do. So self-care, it starts with very reasonably priced, and within the self-care you can monitor your symptoms. You have your tracker, cycle tracker as well. Menstrual, with perimenopause, you need that, and a lot of other tracking sort of information that you can put, so you can share it with your doctor or your someone else. At the same time, you are on a journey to learn about lifestyle and dietary modification that you can start doing yourself. That is what we are doing as a first step. Now, if that is not enough, right, you might need more. The second step is in a group setting, again, affordable. We have experts who would come every week and talk about, let's say, some of the taboo things like sexual wellness. As an example, we get very uncomfortable talking about it. And this is one of the side effects of going through perimenopause, menopause could be.
It is. It's the one that made me seek help. It was painful to have sex. It was what made me seek help and start really learning about HRT. Was it was painful because of the vaginal lining thinning, I think is the
Exactly.
which is
Exactly.
completely fixed, right? I'm completely fixed with that. I don't have that problem anymore, and I don't take very many hormones because of it. So there's so much hope for us if we're going to live that long after. I swear God didn't make us to have to live it in pain and to be bitchy and in a bad mood.
Exactly. So then the second step is these experts will come in, and you can ask questions. And then at the third level, we have testing as well as one-on-one. If let's say someone wants to do HRT, someone wants to do, hey, I want to go natural. I only want to do supplements. So we have a network of experts that one can go and do consultation along with the testing, along with the supplements. So that's how we've designed the app to be very comprehensive, from giving a lot of options, right? From the breadth of the options as well as depth of the options at every stage of a woman.
So fantastic. To me, I can remember being, when was the first day of your last period? Well, heck, I don't
Hmm.
know. No, I don't remember the first day of let me think about it.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
being able to have it all in one place where I can track every bit of it and all of the different things is really, really important. One of the things I also wanted to ask you about, when I started having difficulties and I was talking about it to my doctor, one of the things
Mhm.
that he asked me, of course, was how long it had been since I had had a period because I was pretty far in before I realized it isn't going to
Mhm.
actually give me cancer.
Yeah.
And he told me that there is a time limit. Like the sooner you kind of start feeling better, start managing it, that the better it works. So he thought I was, and I was within his window of it helping. But in his experience as an OBGYN, if women came in and they were post and it had been 10 years since they ended that they'd been post that sometimes hormonal HRT did not give them the effects that they wanted. Have you found that to be true too in your research?
That's what they say. Yes, that if someone wants to start the HRT, they should do it like younger to get the most impact effect. But then I talked to a few other doctors, like someone who's in 60s and maybe now the hormones are depleted. Is it going to be counter
Mhm.
productive like HRT and now so I think what I'm saying is a few doctors did tell me what you're saying about it, but then there's another doctor I was talking to just a couple of weeks back. He said no, you can start at any age. So I think the research is still lacking in that. If you ask me personally, we still don't know because there's so much scare that happened in the 1980s, that research that came out that, oh my God, if you take HRT, you're going to get cancer. Even in some societies and cultures, they say, oh, no, don't take HRT. So I think HRT is safe. That's for sure. We have established that. But now when to take HRT and how much to take HRT, I think that nuance of that intricate detail is still needs to be sort of like untangled and clear, because there are still contradictory kind of views about it, that yes, you should only take it before you hit menopause or right close to where you hit menopause, or you should not take it after you're menopausal, like postmenopause. Like I talked to a lot of UK doctors, they typically start women on the HRT around mid 40s and above, like 46, 47. They don't start it at younger. So I think this is still conflicting views, is what I'm saying. In this,
Right.
not
So
very medical
it had
fraternity is
been
not very.
it had been probably 5 years since I had had a period when I started HRT, and I have had phenomenal results, and I for just a
Yeah,
small amount, it's made me
yeah,
feel strong again. My exercise recovery is better. I
yeah.
also took Cinnamon and transresveratrol and other things to help with my
Yes.
mitochondria and all of that, but I was really surprised, and there is still, if your doctor is telling you, and of course for you, it's important to listen to medical advice. But I will tell you that my daughter is a doctor in her residency, and she learned in med school. She's in her residency, so it hasn't been that long. Her
Yeah.
first rotation through was that HRT was still bad for you. And I had a long discussion, and my OBGYN actually sent her a lot of information about it,
Mhm.
like 10
Mhm.
different studies. They just gave me tons of them,
Yeah.
and which I forwarded on. And she brought and talked to her professors about in medical school, and later told me, yeah, the gig is up on HRT.
Mhm.
And where she went to school, they were making modifications. I think it's easy for all of us to get in a rut. So
Yeah,
I don't think that they're
absolutely.
just out to get women and make us feel like shit for the rest of our lives. I don't think it's that. I think it's just a rut of not
Mhm.
understanding how important it is.
That's exactly, there's still confusion amongst the medical fraternity, and I think it's changing now, but still there are conflicting views, like I said earlier, you know?
Mhm. So I want to end by I want to talk to you about how everyone can get your app and all of those things, but I wanted to ask you. I I read a lot, a very eclectic information, but I was reading and doing research before I had you as a guest, and there was a thought out there that I saw, and I wanted to ask you about it, is of designing your work schedule around your cycle. So you know during your cycle you're going to be more
Mhm.
tired, so you can work more
Mhm.
hours on a different
Mhm.
time. If you could
Mhm.
design the perfect work schedule for a woman's cycle, how would you do it?
Yeah, there is actually there is a research, and it makes sense, how your energy changes as per your cycle. So typically when the cycle is happening, right? When you are when you're menstruating, I should say that, at that time we should not be doing body pumps and lifting weights and going crazy and jumping up and down. That is the time to really kind of rest and relax and give your body R&R that it needs, and also collecting your thoughts, because your body's kind of shedding off the old skin. You
Hmm.
know how the old skin is shed. A snake sheds the old skin and then the new skin. So we are also habitats of that whole kingdom. So that's what's happening to us as well for the 5 days. So that's a time when women need to kind of relax and kind of lower down their everything, right? Eat warming foods. The diet should be warming, like soups and stuff like that, nourishing yourself with ghee and some of the healthy fats, right? And lowering down your exercise to restorative yoga or Tai Chi or something really breath work and simple, right? So that's the kind of thing how you should do that. And then the next phase, when the hormones are kind of beginning to go back up, then is you can go back to your creativity, because now your hormones are coming out, your progesterone's going up, right? So you are at the creative yourself, and that's when you start picking up other things. So absolutely, yes, as per your cycles, the way your cycle is going through the follicular phase, the luteal phase, and your menstruation, all that, you can basically channel your energy, your diet, and your lifestyle according to the hormonal fluctuations, so to speak, right? And there is a lot of
Right.
science behind it as well, that you should, and how it impacts your energy. And I personally, would highly recommend that women pay attention to this and modify their diet and lifestyle according to their cycles. So I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. And a lot of my listeners are entrepreneurs. So, ladies, you're
Uh-huh.
in control of your schedule. I
Uh-huh.
also had this whole, it was conditioning that I had to be at the desk. I have to be at the desk. I was in corporate
Yeah.
America. I would
Yeah.
I would be hard on myself if I wasn't at the desk by 8:30. I'm like, "You're the
Uh-huh.
damn boss, lady. You don't have to be there. You worked until 11 because you wanted to." And so that is a great way to self-care, to take care of it
Uh-huh.
with your own cycle. You don't have to bust it. I played high impact sports, basketball, during my cycle, and it was brutal. It was
Yeah.
brutal and difficult every time that any of us on the team did. And so I really love that. Thank you for talking about that right at the end, because I think that could really help entrepreneurs plan their day and feel better, not be so anxious, and don't have your sales goals meeting while you're PMSing or while you're already all wound up. All of those things I think are really important.
Uh-huh.
So tell us before we wrap up, I'm sure a ton of listeners want to find out more information about you and your services and your app. Please tell us how they can do that.
Yeah, so just go to our website, www.nourishdoc.com. We're going to have a link for everything to download the app, to do all the things. Like I said, the app is going to be up by the end of October. So that is the best way for women to take the information from our website.
Fantastic. I'm so excited you're able to come on as a guest. We had a few little technical difficulties that we made it through at the beginning. All of her stuff will be linked in the show notes, you guys, for you to check out. You can also find information about the show in there by linking to our website, dealswithheels.com. And thank you so much for listening and checking everything out. Please give us a like and a review if you enjoyed the show. And until next week, we're out. Thank you so much for coming on, Amita.
Thank you.